Hey there everyone, Patrick here, and I don't know if you've been sleeping under a rock, but the decade is almost over, believe it or not. It's crazy to say, but the 2010s are actually very close to being a part of history. Hell, Spotify already has a decade playlist for like a good month now, I think? I can't even wrap my head around that. Anyways, I think the best way to dive back into the past is to look at the best, and that's why starting with this video today, during the month of December, I'm going to be looking at the top 3 best and the top not so best games of the decade, year by year. That is right, I'm going to be deep diving into every year one by one, looking through general receptions of games, IGN reviews, and so on and so forth to find out what was the best and what was the worst of this entire decade. Enough blabbing from me, I think you're sick of it. Introducing Gaming in the 2000s and 10s. Where else can we start but the year 2010 itself? And to be honest, you probably want the good stuff first. So here's the good stuff. Super Mario Galaxy 2. I know that not everybody may not be the biggest Nintendo fan, but at the very least you have to appreciate the popularity and success of the Mario series as a whole. 3D gaming brought a whole new look to the platformer genre, starting with Super Mario 64, and over time, we've seen more and more advanced installments as time has flown by. This time, we also have motion controls as well. The original Super Mario Galaxy came out on the Wii in 2007, and believe it or not, sold over 12 million copies. With such a successful motion hit, the sequel was bound to happen. In May of 2010, the infamous Super Mario Galaxy 2 hit store shelves. Mario Galaxy 2 is considered by many reviewers and sites as one of the best Wii, if not one of the best games of all time. That's for you to decide. But the sequel still sold over 7 million copies, and is debatably one of the best in the Mario series, with over 200 unique stars to collect in the game. Super Meat Boy. Continuing with platformers, we got the infamous Team Meat release of Super Meat Boy. Super Meat Boy is well known for having tighter controls as well as split-second reactions. With over 300 levels of trying to save Bandage Girl, there's enough to go around for a long time. And believe it or not, Super Meat Boy was actually based off the 2008 Newgrounds Flash game, Meat Boy. Who knew such a silly Flash game would turn into such a successful hit 2 years later? How can I not include Minecraft? And you may be wondering, why am I talking about Minecraft when the first version of the game, known as Cave Game Tech Test, was released in May of 2009? But believe it or not, the alpha and the beta versions of the game were both released in 2010. The first alpha was released in June of 2010, and the first beta in December of 2010. These versions of Minecraft debatably formed the game into what it is today. Do you know that beds, endermen, and squids didn't even exist until later beta versions? Now I know, you're probably gonna click off this video now if you haven't already, but I have to talk about the filth as well. Whenever you look at the good, you have to look at the bad as well. Let's start this off with Final Fantasy XIV. You'd think that Final Fantasy would have no problem pleasing fans, but I guess that wasn't the case here. Upon release, critics majorly battered this game down by the end of November of 2010. IGN only gave it a 5.5, which for Final Fantasy is kinda shocking. And many other review sites didn't put this game up too high. But why? Apparently, there was a lot of technical problems with the game upon launch. GameSpy labeled this game as the definition of obtuse, poorly designed, aggressively underexplained, and shoddy in almost every respect that matters. And PC Gamer noted that the game had lag issues, frame dips, and a nightmarish control scheme. Yikes. Just a year later, the CEO of Square, Yoichi Wada, actually issued an apology about how poor the game was, and the game was actually scratched as a whole. That's right, Final Fantasy XIV was reborn, as Final Fantasy XIV, A Realm Reborn, just 2 to 3 years later after the original release. It was so bad that the entire game got replaced. Now that's crazy. Doctor Who. Now that we got the heavy hitter out of the way, let's pick some low-hanging fruit. Doctor Who Return to Earth was made for the casual catching Nintendo Wii, based on the BBC series of the same name. The game actually had a very small release in certain parts of Europe and Australia. In March of 2010, Nintendo signed a contract of £10 million to release Doctor Who games on their consoles. And wow, this was a costly failure. I don't have an interest in Doctor Who to be honest, but this does not look good. The game came alongside a weird Wii Remote accessory modeled after a screwdriver in the show, but a silly gimmick won't save you from bad press. The official Nintendo magazine started their review of the game by saying, "Return to Earth is an insult to Doctor Who fans." Ouch. But that's not it for Doctor Who. I know, again, I'm cheating today, but it was hard to pick a third game that I could actually talk about, so let's just continue with Doctor Who. Part of Nintendo's deal with the BBC was being able to publish games on the DS as well. So, they did. The same week as the previous game we talked about, Doctor Who Evacuation Earth hit store shelves for the DS in Europe, and let's just say it wasn't much better. I can't really talk too much about the gameplay, maybe I'd have to play it someday, but I found a funny review of this game from a game talk show named Good Game, which talked about the game by saying, "It's just like the developers just grabbed a puzzle game off the shelf, scribbled out the title, and stuck a Doctor Who sticker in its place." Sadly, that's how a lot of these movie and TV pack-in titles feel. Let's just say I don't expect a sequel of these games anytime soon. Is there any good games I missed here? Any games that were even worse than my picks from 2010 that I skipped out on? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for future videos in these series. I am not done, and I'm going to keep going year by year, including 2019. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys later. Have a nice day.